Welcome to The Chosen One. I'm your host, Qui-Gon Din, and today on Shatterthoughts, we're going to be kind of doing some really early predictions for Adepticon and the meta going forward. As we're hitting this point of the end of GT season, we have Sci-Fi Invite happening this upcoming weekend. And then we got one more GT happening in November. And after that, that marks the end of this GT season. And really, Adepticon's going to be the first major event of next year. And I don't see the meta changing drastically. Even with these last two GT events, we have enough data to kind of back up where I feel the meta is going to be pretty established. We're already noticing that the meta has pretty much been becoming a little less open. It's still more open than it was at the previous Adepticon, but we're noticing that the goalposts are becoming more tight compared to being loosened. And the big thing is Andor is probably going to be the number one thing dictating Adepticon. Cassian lists are going to be at the top of their game, and I think Delta's going to be right behind it. Mainly because I think Delta can counteract one of the tougher Cassian variants, which is Cassian Kanan. Delta have a firm answer to that list in particular that gives Delta an edge, and that's they can kind of almost completely play around Kanan's revenge trigger, so you're effectively making a lot of the list non-advantageous against you. When you are cutting Kanan's revenge trigger out of it and still able to take wounds, that list kind of really struggles into that Delta matchup. But I don't even think Cassian is the list to beat. If I were to say what would be the list to beat, it's going to be Cassian PLC. The list has started popping up quite a bit in the last few GTs, and Cassian with PLC has been doing insanely well. The win rate is been getting higher and higher. The list answers a lot of Cassian's weaknesses, where Cassian's big weakness is getting blitzed on points, and that scoring teams can kind of just outpace him on points. Well, Leia really slows that strategy down. So I think Cassian PLC is probably going to be the list to really watch out for at Adepticon, when a lot of players are going to be min-maxing, trying to go for that win. And I think it's going to be Republic's and Rebels' event to win. As a Republic player, this is no bias towards it. They are just in a better spot in the meta right now compared to Mandalorians or Empire. Empire is actually at a pretty rough spot. They can get top cuts, but we've noticed that their win rates have considerably dropped. And the people that are doing really well with Empire are the players that have played Empire through thick and thin, know the matchups, and know how to really play the matchup. Because how you have to win with Empire right now is, I think you have to go full Premier list of full Empire. Needs to be a flex list where you can flex specifically into pairings that you know how to fight. And I think you have to not misplay. You need to play every match super tightly, as Empire right now is perfectly balanced, but that nothing in Empire is above the curve. Reva's really good. She is probably the best payoff for playing Empire right now. Reva is insanely strong. Fifth Brother is still really good. So there is some strong plays that you can do, and there is a ton of stuff that, you know, the Inquisitor package can leverage. Iden is still good, but ISF have kind of lost some favorability. No shoves kind of hurts in a meta where we don't necessarily want to be wounding. Lacking shoves is a drastically something you don't want. You either need shoves or, you know, getting the wound in. While ISF still wound pretty effectively, they are not shoving anything, meaning against revenge triggers, they may actually be a detriment to your list, other than that they have decent defensive expertise. Mandalorians are in a worse spot than Empire. Your payoff for playing Mandalorians, really, it's Covert Mandos. They're the only unit that I believe is up to par. Armor can do really good things, and she's a really good build around, but every other unit has too many caveats as to really taking advantage. Yes, everyone has jumps, but the movement in this game is so crazy now that jumps don't really even have an advantage anymore. And then their supports just die too easily. 7 health with is not a good break point to have. I feel like, you know, if Covert's got 8 health and the Clan Grease got 8 health, we'd be in a different spot, but that 7 really hurts them. Bo-Katan is still doing Bo-Katan things, but Bo-Katan lacks early shoves. And it can be a workhorse, but at the same time, her poor defensive dice pools means she is actually fairly easy to wound. So when you have this faction that, yeah, you play Mando, you get a revenge trigger, it doesn't matter. You're just going to get out-wounded, and the entirety of your game plan is focusing around leveraging those Covert Mandalorians, and they become target numero uno when you're playing against a smart opponent. And I think that's a big problem. Rick Tampson, I think, has a good shot at actually doing very well at Adepticon. If you know how to play Riff really well and you play him perfectly, he does something that no other primary in the game does, and he really adds value to your support activations. Being able to move off of an attack off of any of your supports is really powerful. We already know how powerful it is with Rex and with Snips as secondaries, but they have to be within range 3 of those attacks. Rift just gets to do it anywhere on the board, and he gets to jump to any point he wants. That is insanely strong and allows for support activations to be a lot more dynamic than in most other lists. Base and Turret are kind of a boogeyman. I think people are overvaluing them a little bit. I think they are very good, but they are only good in context of their own activation. They don't provide anything for you outside of their activation, which is the same type of thing Base and Turret are doing. I've already made this discussion. Andor is impacting the board just by being on the board. He is breaking the math in your favor. And that's why I think Andor is going to probably be the biggest meta hurdle at Adepticon. And it's probably going to be PLC paired with them, with some Kanan variants mixed in and some Jin mixed in. But PLC is the list to where I would say really watch out for. I believe it is the strongest of the pairings. And that's just because of how much movement that list has. I think Republic, again, you got the 3 Republic variants to watch out for, which is Boss variants, Obi variants, and then Mundi variants. Those are going to be the Republic lists to really watch out for. They're going to be the top ones. A lot of people are going to be playing them. Kenobi's in a really good spot. Delta's in a really good spot. Empire mix and match, and then you got your Scoundrel Rift lists. And I really do mean Scoundrel Rift, because I don't think Separatists are the way to be playing him at the moment. But a properly ran Rift Hampton Scoundrel list is very strong and provides a lot of pressure. So that's just my Shatter thoughts on early Adepticon thoughts. Now this completely changes if we get the Balin Skull box and the Morgan Elsbeth box before Adepticon. That could completely change the dynamic of the meta, depending on how early we get that information, how early we get the reveals for them. If they get fully revealed at Mini Extravaganza, people can start testing that stuff early, and that could completely throw a wrench into this prediction. This prediction for Adepticon is fully on the context that we do not get any new releases before Adepticon.